Developing right now on Morning News Now, too close to call this morning. The votes are in, but ballots are still being counted in several key primary elections, with 3 candidates pulling ahead in California's crowded race for governor. In Los Angeles, Mayor Karen Bass heading for a runoff as she seeks a second term, with former reality star Spencer Pratt fighting for that second spot.
I didn't know I'd be here tonight, but it's obviously God's plan, and I'm going to go all the way, and I'm going to show everybody that I'm their mayor. My goal by November, whether it's you're voting for me or you're voting for Mayor Bass, I'm going to get more people to vote.
And in battleground Iowa, the stage is set for a Senate showdown in November in a usually reliable red state that could shift the balance of power in Washington. We'll have the latest. Also breaking this morning, escalation in the Middle East. An Iranian attack hits Kuwait's airport, forcing it to shut down less than 1 day after the U.S. and Iran exchanged new strikes in the Persian Gulf. Now, renewed concerns about negotiations to end the war. We'll bring you an update. Plus, off the air, veteran 60 Minutes correspondent Scott Pelley fired by CBS News following a fiery confrontation with the show's new leadership. More on the controversy that's sending shockwaves across the world of broadcast. And chatbot to lean on, the new research that shows just how many young people are turning to AI for mental health advice and what experts want parents to know. Good morning. Thank you so much for being with us and getting your Wednesday started. I'm Savannah Sellers. Joe is off. We're going to begin this morning with the latest round of primary contests that determine who will be on the ballot in this fall's midterm elections. Votes are still being counted after voters in 6 states went to the polls yesterday. Up for grabs, races for governor, mayor, even control of Congress, where Democrats need to pick up 3 seats in the House and 4 in the Senate to take control. NBC's Chris Pelley has the latest.
This morning, the sprint to this fall's midterm elections is on, and the battles to control Congress and key state leadership positions across the country are taking shape.
California, thank you very much. November, here we come.
In California, where it can take days for all the votes to be counted, it appears former state attorney general Javier Becerra, a Democrat, will finish in the top 2 in the race to succeed Governor Gavin Newsom.
I am ready to lead the fight to uphold California's promise.
His likely opponent, a former TV show host President Trump endorsed Republican Steve Hilton.
Well over 1 million Californians have put their faith in me.
In Los Angeles, Mayor Karen Bass will try to win a second term in a November runoff. Her likely opponent, former reality TV star Spencer Pratt, whose anti-establishment campaign is striking a chord with some voters.
I'm an Angelino who said enough is enough, and I had to step up.
California voters echoing concerns that candidates are hearing across the country.
I care a lot about the environment, I care about foreign policy, I care about affordability, all those things.
This fall, a key battle for control of the House is in New Jersey. Former Navy helicopter pilot Rebecca Bennett will take on Republican incumbent Tom Kean. Kean has been away from the Capitol and out of the public eye for 3 months as he deals with an unspecified medical issue.
I am proud to say that we have won this primary.
For Democrats, taking control of the Senate comes down to states like Iowa. With Republican Senator Joni Ernst retiring, state lawmaker Josh Turek hopes to flip the seat from red to blue.
We need a fighter for the people, not for the billionaires, large corporations, and political donors.
President Trump endorsed the winner of the Republican primary, Congresswoman Ashley Hinson. Chris Pelley, NBC News.
Well, for analysis on these results, let's bring in Jessica Taylor. She's the Senate and Governor's editor for the Cook Political Report with Amy Walter. Jessica, good morning. Thanks so much for joining us. So let's start in California. It's going to take days there for all these votes to finally be counted, but we are starting to see some front runners in the race for governor. What do you think about the numbers we're seeing so far?
What I'm watching for is there's still another week that ballots could arrive. A lot of Democrats were holding on to their ballots. You know, the ironic thing is that initially Democrats were worried about potentially being locked out of the race because they didn't have a front runner, especially after Eric Swalwell and his scandal, and he withdrew from the race. Becerra really surged from the single digits to become the front runner. Steyer has spent $200 million of his money, and so I'm watching to see if those late breaking ballots, if that could actually push him into the top two along with Becerra and actually lock out Republicans and Steve Hilton. Some of these early votes are election day of that lean more Republican. So I think there's still a lot of questions with, just a little over half of the vote counted in California.
Let's talk control of Congress. So Republicans hold this narrow majority in both the House and the Senate. Iowa here, deep red Iowa. It's one state Democrats have had their eyes on to try to flip a Senate seat this November. We have State Representative Josh Turek. He secured the Democratic primary nomination to then face off against GOP Representative Ashley Hinson. What do you think of this matchup? What do you think of Democrats' odds of flipping this seat?
Well, with Turek's win, who we saw as the stronger general election candidate, we actually shifted our rating from likely Republican to lean Republican. So we see Democrats as having a better chance in this state, even though it is a state that Donald Trump carried by 13 points. It is a state that has been hit hard by tariffs, by rising diesel prices and fertilizer prices. Ashley Hinson, in a Politico story yesterday, actually said at a private meeting that she was worried about the impact of the Iran war on the election. I think that she is a strong general election candidate and she remains the favorite in this contest, but I think it's getting increasingly competitive and our rating change reflects that.
We're also watching the primary race for governor in Iowa. We have GOP Representative Randy Feenstra. He received Trump's endorsement last night, though he conceded to businessman and Make America Healthy Again supporter Zach Lane. Up until yesterday, Trump-backed candidates had really been sweeping the primaries. What do you think about this one? What's this race tell you?
This was a little bit of a surprise, but honestly, Feenstra ran a very underwhelming campaign. I think in a place like Iowa, people expect to meet the candidates, have their flesh pressed, and Feenstra really didn't do that. I think he sort of rested on his laurels a little bit while Zach Lane was out there more with the grassroots. He actually has more money, and so I think Lane might be able to activate the grassroots, the conservative grassroots more. This is going to be a very competitive general election, though. We rate this race as toss-up. This is one of Democrats' top pickup opportunities in the races for governor across the country. State auditor Rob Sand is a very strong candidate. He has more money than all of the Republican field combined. He's reaching across the aisle to Republicans and independents. He's one of Democrats' strongest challengers anywhere in the country this cycle.
Jessica, what are you looking for next in the next round of primaries?
Well, as you mentioned, sort of Trump's endorsement did not get Feenstra over the finish line. In next week's primary for governor in South Carolina, he's endorsed Lieutenant Governor Pam Avett. There's a very, very crowded field there that might get her into the runoff, but will that secure her the nomination? How much does Trump's endorsement matter in some of these gubernatorial races is something I'll be watching as the primary season goes on.
All right, Jessica Taylor, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Well, President Trump is facing a bipartisan backlash this morning over his latest cabinet shakeup. The president appointed Bill Pulte to replace Tulsi Gabbard, who's stepping down at the end of the month as acting director of national intelligence. Pulte is seen as a controversial choice. He's a fierce Trump loyalist who is known for targeting the president's perceived political enemies as head of the Federal Housing Finance Agency. He also has no background in intelligence or national security. NBC News senior national politics reporter Jonathan Allen joins us now with more on this one. John, good morning. So, just tell us about this choice. Why him? How'd this happen? And what's the reaction here?
I think the big reason why him, Savannah, is that he has shown absolute loyalty to the president, not just doing what the president says, but has been an innovator in President Trump's efforts to go after some of his political adversaries. Pulte, through the Federal Housing Finance Agency, has been pushing for, in particular, going after people over their mortgages. New York Attorney General Letitia James, former Congressman Eric Swalwell, Congressman Adam Schiff among them. And this has been a means for the president and his Justice Department to start looking into some of those adversaries.
John, bipartisan backlash on another issue here is prompting some change in the administration. We've been talking a lot about this. So this is this anti-weaponization fund. The Justice Department says it is scrapping that nearly $1.8 billion fund after revolt from even Republicans. We have Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche facing grilling on this and other elements of the president's settlement with the IRS, which is really what kicked this all off. What did he tell lawmakers? Walk viewers through this.
Yeah, let's zoom back just a little bit, Savannah. The president sued the IRS over leaked tax documents from a long time ago. He sued the IRS for $10 billion. Then his own Justice Department made it settled with him, and the result was this: the plan for the anti-weaponization fund and essentially the funding of legal fees for people aligned with the president, and even some who are not, according to the White House, who have been targeted unreasonably by the Justice Department. What's happened, as you said, the backlash is coming from Capitol Hill. I think it's a terrible idea. Even some of the president's allies are saying that it's a slush fund. And Attorney General Todd Blanche talked to the House Appropriations Committee. Let's listen to what he had to say.
The reasons for the fund is something that President Trump talked about for a long time, which is the fact that there were a lot of people in this country who had their government weaponized against them. The reasons for the fund, I think, it remain as important as they were before, but we are not moving forward with the fund.
Not moving forward ever.
Correct.
And you hear that from the acting Attorney General, that they're not moving forward ever. That's not enough to satisfy Democrats on Capitol Hill, who would like to see that codified, meaning put into law, that this weaponization fund cannot move forward, so that the Attorney General and the President can't change their mind.
Certainly something that a lot of people have had their eyes on. John, one other piece of news I want to get to before we let you go. We're learning that a man who had pled guilty and apologized over, quote, these are his words, foolish actions on January 6th, is now working at the Pentagon. What do we know?
We know that that's not the only person who was involved in January 6th who has been hired into the federal government, into the Trump administration. These are obviously people who have been pardoned by the president. Many of them pardoned by the president, and as a result, there's no legal limitation on them being hired. But this is obviously a very controversial decision, or very controversial employment.
All right, John Allen, great to see you. Thanks so much. Let's turn to some breaking news out of the Middle East, where Iran and the United States are trading new attacks in the latest flare-up to rock the Gulf region. Overnight, Kuwait's foreign ministry said one person was killed, dozens were wounded after Iran launched missile and drone attacks. While some were shot down, others hit the country's international airport. The General Civil Aviation Authority said the attack caused severe damage to its Terminal 1 building. The country's flagship carrier, Kuwait Airways, briefly suspended flights before resuming at another terminal. Well, Iran says the attack was in response to a U.S. strike on an Iranian oil tanker in the Strait of Hormuz. CENTCOM said the ship was trying to break the U.S. blockade and reach Iran. NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel has the latest for us from Tel Aviv. Richard?
There have been several exchanges of fire between Iran and the United States in recent days, but these seem to be the most serious. The U.S. attacked Iran. Iran responded with attacks against Bahrain and Kuwait, hitting the main airport in Kuwait, causing damage to a terminal, Terminal 1. And according to Kuwait's foreign ministry, there were casualties, including at least one person killed. The U.S. attacked a military position on an Iranian island. It seems that Iran's strategy by hitting Bahrain and Kuwait, and this is the second day in a row that Iran has fired missiles at Kuwait, is to try and break the U.S. blockade, the naval blockade, preventing ships from entering or leaving Iranian ports. With Iran attacking the American troops involved, there are troops based in both Kuwait and Bahrain and the countries that are hosting them. But U.S. Central Command says that the blockade is still in effect and has released new videos showing American forces stopping Iranian ships and turning them around.
All right, Richard, thank you so much. Well, in a shocking move overnight, CBS News has fired veteran 60 Minutes correspondent and former evening news anchor Scott Pelley. Pelley has been a pillar of the legendary news magazine for more than 2 decades. His termination comes just one day after a heated confrontation with the show's new executive producer, Nick Bilton, during a staff meeting. Well, in a scathing letter to Pelley, Bilton said in part, "You hijacked my first meeting with staff to disparage me, my qualifications, and my intentions with remarkable incivility and contempt," adding that Pelley's, quote, "antipathy to the future of the show has come through loud and clear." Pelley expressed gratitude for the colleagues he worked with at CBS News who encouraged and enriched his work. In a written statement, he accused the current leadership of instructing him to, quote, inject falsehoods and bias into a politically sensitive story. He said he refused or ignored those instructions. Pelley has also said, in part, incompetence and unprofessionalism in the new management have wreaked havoc. CBS News has not responded to Pelley's comments, but his fellow correspondent, Cecilia Vega, made similar allegations when she was fired just last week. The network responded saying her claims were not based in reality. Well, a recent Frontier Airlines flight was the scene of a dramatic mid-air confrontation where passengers had to restrain a man after he allegedly tried to open an exit door and then enter the cockpit. NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello has the details.
It happened on a Frontier flight from San Juan, Puerto Rico to Chicago. Video shows passengers restraining a 51-year-old man who the arresting officer says tried to choke an off-duty flight attendant, enter the cockpit, and tried opening an exit door while in flight. One of the passengers holding down the suspect told local reporters he's a former martial arts fighter. I got him. Video shows him pinning the suspect to his seat. Frontier Airlines tells NBC News the flight was diverted to Miami. Law enforcement boarded the aircraft in Miami and removed the passenger. Just the most recent case of a passenger becoming disruptive in flight.
They were able to finally get control of him after multiple attempts to try to breach the cockpit.
On Saturday, a passenger allegedly tried breaking into another cockpit.
Get me to the gate. I want off, or I'll take myself off. Okay.
In April, a passenger attempted to open the main aircraft door, upset that his flight was delayed by weather. So far this year, the FAA reports more than 640 unruly passenger incidents. Passengers who assault or interfere with a flight crew can face a fine of nearly $44,000 per violation, with multiple violations per incident. Actually opening an exit door in flight is virtually impossible because of the plane's cabin pressure, roughly 25,000 pounds. But a violent passenger can endanger everyone on board, passengers and crew members. Back to you.
Oh, all right, Tom, let's all behave. All right, time now for weather, where today a cold front could bring severe storms in the northern plains and upper Mississippi River Valley. We have meteorologist Rafael Miranda joining us this morning with your forecast. Raf, good morning.
Good morning, Savannah. Yeah, we're looking at a 3-day severe weather threat across portions of the plains and into the Midwest. Let's start with right now, though. We're tracking a very stormy morning across the Dakotas into Nebraska. Lots of lightning here. Watch out for some flooding in some spots. Later today, we're tracking that severe weather threat. Hail is going to be one of the main threats. Large hail, 2 inches plus in diameter possibility, with damaging winds as well. Thankfully, the tornado risk is low for today. Then we move to tomorrow, and it's really the same spots. The Dakotas stuck with the severe weather threat. Hail and also the damaging winds a possibility. 1 or 2 tornadoes a possibility. Now we move to Friday, the day 3 of the severe weather event. Again, watching out for hail and a few tornadoes as that severe threat shifts to the east a bit into places like Nebraska and Iowa. In terms of flash flooding today, watching out for the northern plains, but also West Texas has seen a lot of heavy rain already. Watching for some more in places like Amarillo and Lubbock down towards the Mexican border there. Let's talk about the heat. Temperatures trending above average across the northern tier of states here. Today, we're up to 84 in Hartford, feeling very much like summer there. Still cool in parts of the southeast. Now, as we take a look at the temperature trend tomorrow, staying warm in D.C. and Boston, both in the 80s. That's above average. And that heat extends back towards the Midwest as well. Records are possible as we head towards the end of the week into the weekend, even in the Northeast. New York City could see a stretch of 90-degree days as we kick off the weekend. Watching out for some heavy rain today across Florida, Savannah. So watching out for that tropical moisture there. Otherwise, a beautiful scene all the way from New England back towards the Midwest. And, of course, stormy for the middle of the country. The West Coast also looking just fine. Temperatures in the 70s along the coastline, very hot in the desert Southwest. Temperatures sizzling in the hundreds in places like Phoenix and Las Vegas.
I was gonna say, I see 106 somewhere in Arizona.
But it's a dry heat.
All right, exactly. All right, hey, we're getting some nice weather here. Goodness, it's June. All right, Ralph, we'll see you next hour. Okay. Thanks so much. There's much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, a horrifying bear attack caught on camera. We will take you to Japan, where the military is now stepping in after several of these. First, though, after the break, new developments on the war in Ukraine as Russia launches a barrage of airstrikes and Ukraine targets a key Russian oil terminal. We'll be right back. We're back with the latest on a new wave of attacks in the war between Russia and Ukraine. The Kremlin says Russia will continue hitting Ukraine, quote, systematically after Ukrainian drones targeted an oil terminal in St. Petersburg. The attack comes just hours before President Putin's major economic forum gets underway in that same city. NBC News chief international correspondent Keir Simmons has the latest from St. Petersburg. Keir, good morning.
Hey there, good morning to you. In the past hour, we've been watching smoke rising across the skyline of this city, the world-famous St. Petersburg. The mayor of St. Petersburg saying that 3 districts were targeted, that there were injuries, but no fatalities, while the Ministry of Defense here in Russia says around 350 drones from Ukraine were intercepted. This morning, Russia and Ukraine intensifying attacks. An oil terminal on fire after almost 60 drones were shot down, according to a governor in the St. Petersburg region. A symbolically significant attack on Putin's home turf and on the first day of his major economic forum in St. Petersburg. President Zelensky this morning calling it a good result. And overnight, 7 killed when a drone hit a bus in Donetsk in Russian-occupied Ukraine, an official says. After Ukraine suffered one of the worst onslaughts of the war, 656 attack drones and 73 ballistic and cruise missiles across the country, Zelensky said. Ukrainians, after more than 4 years of war, again huddled underground in the subway. Parts of Kyiv and Dnipro were devastated. Whole apartment blocks turned into infernos. Search and rescue teams scrambling to pull survivors from the rubble. At least 22 were killed in the latest attacks, including 2 children, over 100 injured, Zelensky said. For Vladimir Putin, the strikes are retaliation for what Russia says was a Ukrainian drone strike on a college dormitory, killing 21 people. Ukraine denied targeting a dorm, saying it had struck a drone command unit. President Zelensky pleading for more air defenses from the US and Europe after the strikes. But those defenses now also needed in the Middle East with the Iran war. Here in St. Petersburg, we meet a pro-war student who takes part in cyber drone contests. What's it like to live in a city like St. Petersburg where there are drones being targeted on this very place?
Actually, you kind of get used to it after so many years. I'd say it only strengthens the resolve.
His greatest complaint, nationwide restrictions to the internet for security, officials here say. Just this morning, guys, the spokesperson for the Kremlin, Dmitry Peskov, saying that the reason that what Russia calls its special military operation in Ukraine is ongoing is because of strikes like these that we've been witnessing today in St. Petersburg. But it is impacting people. Through the day, cell phone service was disabled, presumably to prevent drones from hitting targets. Guys?
All right, Keir, thank you so much. Well, continuing with overseas news, in Japan, they've seen a record number of wild bear attacks this year. And the latest one, a black bear is seen going on a violent rampage in a residential area, injuring 4 people. It's gotten so bad, they're calling in the military for help. NBC News correspondent Camila Bernal has more.
A dangerous bear attack caught on video. On the right side of your screen, you can see the bear chasing a man in circles outside a factory in Fukushima, Japan. The bear catches up and throws the young employee to the ground, an SUV appearing to scare it off. The black bear then heading inside the compound where it injured another older worker, and then reportedly 2 more people. It's the latest dangerous encounter in a country seeing a surge in bear attacks. According to Japan's Environment Ministry, a record 13 people were killed by bears over a 12-month period in more than 230 attacks, the highest number ever recorded. Climate change part of the reason. With less food in the forest, bears come looking for opportunity. And experts say there are fewer traditional bear hunters left. In 2025, this bear attacked a woman on a sidewalk in northern Japan. And this brown bear slammed into a truck on Japan's northernmost island, cracking the windshield in the process. The military even deployed to help contain the problem. And Japan's Environment Ministry posts posted this video to teach children not to get close to bears. The bear in today's attack still not caught, forcing area schools to close down and stoking fear throughout a community. And the Japanese government estimated that the overall bear population was at nearly 58,000 in March. The government has also vowed to triple the number of municipal bear control staff and to double the number of bear traps. Back to you.
All right, Camila, wow, that was certainly some video there. All right, coming up on Morning News Now, the Trump administration out with new Medicare guidelines set to impact millions of Americans. Dr. Sayal is here with us. What you need to know. We will be right back with our weekly checkup after the break. We're back now with our weekly medical checkup. This week, the Trump administration released strict guidelines for new Medicaid work requirements. It's going to impact millions of Americans. We're going to look at what numbers you need to know for next year. Also, we've got new research on how teens are using AI for mental health advice. We're going to tell you what parents should know about any risks there. Here to break it all down is NBC News medical reporter Dr. Akshay Sayal. Dr. Sayal, always great to have you with us. Let's start on Medicaid. What do people need to know here about these new work requirements?
Good morning, Savannah. So, to start, for those who don't know, Medicaid it sort of gives health insurance to people with limited income, people with disabilities who may not qualify for other insurance. Almost 75 million people between adults and children get some sort of coverage through this program. Wow. Now, you can see on your screen there, this is a very controversial thing that's being rolled out by the administration, Medicaid work requirements. And essentially what they're saying, and this is led by CMS Administrator Dr. Mehmet Oz, that people need to, go to school, volunteer, or work for about 80 hours a month to keep that coverage. And this will apply to people under those Medicaid expansion programs. This is set to take effect January 1st, 2027. But here's what people need to know. Starting January 1st, it's going to be self-declared, meaning we sort of trust you. If you have one of these things that qualify you for exemption, which I'll get to in a second, you can self-declare it. Otherwise, for everybody else, they're going to be sort of in a year later asking people to verify this through electronic records. I know that's confusing, but you can see on your screen there people who are exempt from Medicaid. It's going to be pregnant women, parents of young kids, veterans with disabilities, medically frail, SNAP recipients, foster care youth, and Native Americans. And to clarify, these are people who would not have to do those work requirements. These are people who would be exempt. So doctor's orders here, I know that's a mouthful. Stay up to date. This is all to say, check the website, check to see if you are on Medicaid, if you are going to be needing to fulfill those work requirements, if you are somebody who is going to be getting an exemption. Check your snail mail, check your email, just make sure you're up to date. The last thing we want, Savannah, is people to lose insurance when it's too late.
Oh, absolutely. All right, good info there. Okay, let's talk about this one I just mentioned a second ago. Teens, young adults using AI for mental health care, or at least to get answers, talking to these chatbots. This is something I think a lot of people are doing across the health spectrum, but what is the concern here, and what do parents need to keep in mind for their teens?
I saw you've done some reporting on this as well. People, sort of turning to these AI chatbots as a replacement therapist. 1 in 5 people, Savannah, using these chatbots for mental health. That's according to a new survey that came out this week. That is up for 13% a year ago. So it is growing, and anecdotally, I know people who do this all the time. I'm sure you do as well. And the point is, don't stay away from chatbots altogether. But if you are going to be using these during a crisis, that can be a problem. And we've already seen reports of people, committing suicide as a result of some of the advice people have given. There's a sort of back and forth between parents and these companies about how should we handle this. And there's no real easy answer. So, for people watching, for parents watching, for kids watching, the doctor's orders for this one. One, talk to your child if they're using AI. It's not to say that they can't use it and to put a blanket ban on it, but make sure they know how to use it properly and understand the limitations. If there's any sort of concern for a severe mental health emergency, see a licensed professional.
By the way, one of the things that you could do to understand what your kids are doing is get a little comfortable with it yourself. Make sure you kind of understand how it works so you know what your kids are interfacing with.
Absolutely.
Lastly, this is an interesting one. So the methods that doctors traditionally use to measure obesity, it might actually be missing a lot of adults. Why is that?
So the method we use, Savannah, is something called BMI, body mass index, and you sort of calculate it by taking your height and your weight, and you get an estimate of how overweight or obese somebody is. But the more research that has come out is that that is not a perfect measure. There's other ways to look at this. There's waist to hip ratio, where you can measure your waist, measure your hip, and divide them, and sort of get an estimate of visceral fat. And visceral fat is the fat we care about. It's the fat in the belly, around the organs. It's the fat that's linked to insulin resistance and a whole host of chronic disease. But Savannah, in this study that came out, essentially what researchers found was people who have a normal BMI may still have some of those obesity-like conditions, or clinical obesity, they're calling it, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, these sorts of things that we actually care about. And so, the doctor's orders for this don't just rely on BMI. If you can do a waist to hip ratio at home. You can talk to your doctor about a body composition scan. You can actually measure the amount of visceral fat in an MRI machine now. So know your numbers and discuss that risk with your doctor if you are at a high risk of insulin resistance, high cholesterol, diabetes. Make sure you're aware of that.
All right. Great information today, Dr. Sayal. Thanks for covering it all for us.
Anytime.
Well, now more health news for families of children with autism. Getting therapeutic services is critical, and at the same time, it's often hard to find. CDC data now shows about 1 in 31 children in the U.S. are diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder by age 8. Get this, though, in the year 2000, it was 1 in 150 children. So as demand for autism services increases, it has now become a multi-billion-dollar business with growing questions about billing practices and a lack of oversight in some cases. Well, now a new Wall Street Journal investigation is raising questions about this system, with some providers accused of massive insurance claims and questionable charges. In the end, it can leave some families with bills that reach hundreds of thousands of dollars. Joining us now is one of the reporters behind this Wall Street Journal investigation, Christopher Weaver, who covers healthcare and investigations. Chris, good morning. Thanks so much for being here. A really important topic. First, just set the stage. Build on what I just said here, what your reporting found, and how big of a problem this is for some families.
Yeah, I mean, this industry has just grown explosively in recent years. There's been a huge surge in the number of patients who are diagnosed with autism, as you just explained. There's also been an enormous increase in the number of providers of these services. Families and providers say that there's still, unmet demand, and indeed, many of the providers have long wait lists. But at this kind of basic economic level, the services are new, and the people who pay for healthcare, whether insurers or government programs, haven't kind of fully absorbed how to handle this particular type of service. And right now, they're paying at rates that significantly exceed the cost of the labor. So there's a pretty significant profit potential, and that's brought into the industry a number of providers who, to put it charitably, might be more focused on the business side of things than the care that they are provided.
So what's interesting here is, and we do a lot of these really powerful, if I do say so myself, stories here at NBC News about the issues that Americans have with their insurance companies, with making claims, with getting things covered that they should get covered, things that a doctor says they actually need to survive. But this is actually really looking at the providers themselves, right? It's essentially that, when insurers start to dig into the bills that they're getting from the providers, there's some things that they're finding that you're pointing out. That's wherein the issue lies.
Yeah, in this area, there's stories on both sides of that dynamic. There's issues with people getting insurers to cover care that they, believe their children need. There's obviously fights between providers and insurers where both sides might have a point. But what we were investigating in this most recent article was behavior by certain providers, and particularly one that we profiled in depth, where the provider was basically telling patients that the services would be free for them, that their insurer would fully cover it, then billing the insurer just exorbitant amounts. In one case, more than $30,000 for a single date of service that amounted to basically 70 minutes of care, and that the insurer paid $15,000 for. And what would happen, as time went on, is the insurers would kind of glom onto what was going on and start denying claims. And then this company, it's called The Perfect Child, would turn around and essentially basically bill the patients for the portion of its charges that the insurer hadn't covered. And that led to, 5- and 6-figure bills for 10 different families of former patients of this provider that we interviewed.
Wow, I just saw there one family even billed almost $1 million, $911,000, just unbelievable numbers. We know, though, that autism therapy, when performed correctly, and of course, hopefully when billed properly, can be life-changing for many families. So for parents watching, what should they ask potential providers before signing up for services? How can they know that they're going to get something that's going to help their child and be billed properly?
Yeah, I think an obvious thing that this story points to is making sure that your provider is in network. That means that the insurer has negotiated what it will pay for those services in advance, and you're less likely to end up in a situation where the claims are getting denied and the provider is turning around asking the family for money. obviously doesn't mean that you shouldn't ask more questions about the qualifications. And one thing that we've seen is that a lot of these provider groups are set up not by people who have experience providing care in this industry, but by people who have recognized the business opportunity in the area. And I mean, in my experience talking to many of these providers, those companies that are run by people who have direct care experience often tend to be kind of smaller and perhaps more focused on the patient's needs and might be worth, considering.
What, if anything, is being done to crack down on this?
A lot. In government programs like Medicaid, which pays for a big portion of autism therapy, there's been a lot of action by states to try to rein in some of the excesses that the industry has generated. As we just reported in our article, Indiana is planning to announce a moratorium on new autism therapy providers later this week. The private insurers say that their fraud investigations and abusive billing investigations have soared in the last couple of years, with Aetna telling us that the number of investigations of these types of providers that found likely fraud increased like 300% from 2024 to 2025. So there is quite a lot of kind of action and scrutiny.
Chris, really important reporting. We appreciate you taking the time to join us this morning.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Well, coming up, AI oversight. President Trump signing a landmark executive order meant to give the government early access to AI models. More on the move and how it could shape the industry. That is next on Morning News Now. Welcome back. After months of debate inside the White House, President Trump has signed a landmark executive order on artificial intelligence. The order asks tech companies to give the government early access to AI models before they are released so they can be vetted for safety issues. The order says, in part, quote, advanced AI capabilities make our nation stronger, but also introduce new national security considerations that require coordinated action across executive departments and agencies. For more on this, I am joined here on set by NBC News AI reporter Jared Perlow. Jared, always great to have you with us.
Good morning.
Okay, so in this article, you make this clear that this move by the government, this is a request and not a rule. So just give us an overview here of what's in this executive order. What is it trying to achieve?
Absolutely. So this is a landmark, hallmark, really important executive order. So there's basically two parts here, and it all has to do with cybersecurity. So in the first part, the federal government, or the executive order, says that the federal government should increase cyber defenses across a range of agencies. So the first part of this order says that the federal government should increase cyber defenses for the Pentagon. So AI systems are now so powerful that they're presenting cyber issues for the Pentagon. So it says we need to strengthen our defense cybersecurity. But in addition to that, it also says there's a range of civilian federal agencies, everything from maybe like meteorological agencies to things that areas that work on finance. Those also have to shore up their cybersecurity defenses as well. And then another key part, they also touch on increasing cybersecurity for rural hospitals, community banks, other types of infrastructure that might not have robust in-house cybersecurity teams. And the last part, which I think is really interesting in that first section, is they're going to assemble basically a strike force of people to basically coalesce and combine all the different cybersecurity software vulnerabilities. I think that's really important. And the second part, which maybe we can get into later, is about how new AI models should be vetted by the federal government before they're released publicly.
Well, tell us about that. What's your stance on that? What do we think from your reporting that would mean for the future of how these companies develop these models?
Yeah, so we're now at a point where AI models are so powerful that they can find all sorts of issues, bugs in software, hardware systems that previously they could not. So the federal government says, hey, before you release this publicly, we want to know what's going on. So this executive order says there's going to be a new voluntary framework where leading AI companies like OpenAI, like Anthropic, can give advanced access to the federal government 30 days before they share it with other trusted partners, other software companies, other AI companies, so that the federal government can basically run those systems on their own, or run tests on those systems and see, does this present a threat to maybe banks, or does it present a threat to our defense system? So I think that's really interesting there, because we just haven't seen that before.
Does this really address the fact that there's this lack of regulation when it comes to artificial intelligence, or no?
I think it does for the most part. So the interesting thing with this order is we've seen bipartisan support for this. People who are more conservative on AI issues, more progressive on AI issues, they say this is a really important first step. Now, I want to highlight that it's a voluntary step by these frontier AI companies. So it's not mandatory. It's not the government saying, before you release your product, you have to give us advance access. But now there's a sort of framework. There's this mechanism for collaboration in a way that there really just hasn't been before. And I've heard from everyone from CEOs of places like Cisco to think tanks in DC who say this is a great first step forward.
So the administration's been locked in this battle with Anthropic. For people at home, you might use Claude. That's the company that created Claude. Is there a sense, just because we've heard a lot of headlines about that and sort of the administration going toe-to-toe with some of these companies, that this could be bad in any way for companies that are essentially, not on the same side of the street as the White House right now?
So I think time will tell. Again, this is a situation where the White House is somewhat mercurial on this. It really depends. But I think because it's voluntary, maybe that's somewhat lower risk, but I think it's a voluntary in a wink-wink, nudge-nudge sense, right? Do you really want to cross the Trump administration? If they want access to your models, are you really not going to provide them in advance? So right now, it seems like everyone's on the same page. Anthropic, Google, OpenAI, XAI run by Elon Musk, they all seem to really want to curry favor with the administration, make sure these AI systems are safe for the American public. So I don't think that's an issue for now, but maybe, a year down the line, that might become an issue where voluntary becomes slightly more mandatory.
All right, Jared Perlow, great to have you as always. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Well, as the high cost of gas creeps its way into almost everything we buy, more and more people are finding a new way to save a few bucks on shopping at thrift stores. It's not only a way to stretch your budget, but many shoppers are scoring luxury items at a discount. NBC News Chief Business Correspondent Christine Romans went thrift shopping to see how to separate trash from treasure.
Hey there, thrift shopping is so popular, the government is now including secondhand apparel when it compiles consumer prices. Leading the way, Gen Z, young shoppers looking for a bargain and something cool. I decided to research the trend for myself with a little help.
Fancy dresses, toys, silk shirts. Thrift shopping is having a moment as savvy savers search for a bargain and hunt for treasure. And it's young shoppers leading the trend.
Yeah, I need a dress.
So who better to show me how it's done than my 18-year-old son Finn and his friends Olivia, Julia, Maddie, and Mo. First stop, a church thrift shop in Montclair, New Jersey.
Oh, it's so cute in here.
It's open 3 days a week and sells everything from purses to pants.
Those are fun. Yeah, for summer.
Why do you guys thrift? You're looking for a bargain.
Yeah, well, when I go thrifting, it's normally because, well, first of all,
because your mean mom says no more money.
Yeah, I spend a little too much. My spending habits aren't very great. When I feel like I have the urge or I need to buy more clothes or something, I always go through a thrift store first just because there's a lot of diamonds in the rough.
The numbers back it up. Bank of America found secondhand fashion transactions are up 22% from a year ago.
Secondhand fashion is booming, and that's for, I would say, 3 key reasons: value, variety, and also sustainability.
So popular, the government now tracks secondhand apparel in its consumer price reports. And foot traffic site Placer found visits to traditional apparel retailers dropped from late 2022 to late 2025, but visits to thrift stores soared more than 25%. It's not just in-store, but online too, on sites like Depop, ThredUp, and Vinted.
For college, I got so much stuff off of Depop.
Really?
Yeah.
Like what?
Shirts, jackets.
It's very popular among teenagers.
Yeah,
like Depop
definitely.
is like what everybody does, and you can sell stuff on it too.
Bank of America found more people are selling at secondhand stores, especially Gen Z.
So secondhand fashion is more than a place to shop. It's also a place to, earn a little extra money while feeling good about cleaning out your closet.
At the church thrift shop, we found a winner, $3 sweatpants.
I'm gonna get these, please.
Well, you want shotgun?
But our teens weren't done yet. So we headed to a thrift shop down the road on a mission to strike secondhand shopping gold.
Oh, Athleta, for $12.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
The thrift shopping craze comes as many Americans struggle to afford the basics. Inflation is at a 3-year high. Prices are rising faster than wages for the first time since 2023. Overall, consumer prices have jumped 25% over the past 5 years.
Have you noticed that everyone's talking about how much things cost?
Yeah, like everything.
Affordability is something even at 18 years old you know about?
Yeah, not even just talking about it, like seeing it firsthand. You look at your self-checkout and it's $80. You're like, how did this happen?
Here at 2nd Street, there's something at every price point with items from $5 to $5,000. Budget-friendly basics and designer finds.
They don't make this anymore.
Store manager Marco Alvarado says thrifting is about finding things you can't just get at the mall.
Secondhand has become cool.
Yes, because of character. My shirt, it's not black. It has a little bit of some fade. But it's cool that it went through some other people before it came to me, and I'm able to follow that up and give it a second life.
Now it's my turn to give something old a new life, so I asked the teens for advice.
A lot of times you really have to dig to find the good things. You have to look past some things. And
All right, so be patient.
be patient. That's
and look
key.
past the trash for the treasures.
Yeah, exactly.
I sifted through jackets and dresses, and finally,
It's literally $5.90. Thank you.
the perfect fit.
And the kids and thrift store manager have some more tips for you. Come in with a plan so you won't be overwhelmed. Stay focused. Maybe stick to one section. Know the trends. Guess what? Dirty is cool. Beat up is cool. And beware of the impulse purchase. Many thrift stores don't do returns or exchanges, so make sure you're buying things you really need or love. Back to you.
All right, Christine, thank you so much. I, for one, do love it. Coming up, are you ready for some basketball? That's right, Hoops fans. Game 1 of the NBA Finals is finally here with the New York Knicks taking on the San Antonio Spurs for a chance to make history. We'll have all the excitement ahead of tonight. Don't bounce. Morning News Now. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Tonight's the night. It's time to cue Round Ball Rock now that Game 1 of the NBA Finals is just hours away. The San Antonio Spurs will play host to the New York Knicks tonight. A championship could be the start of a new dynasty for the young Spurs, led by a superstar who is changing the game with his generational talent. Meanwhile, the Knicks' rabid and devoted fan base here in New York have been aching to see their team return to the NBA's biggest stage as they try to win a title for the first time since 1973. You can see here Manhattan literally turning orange and blue this week. Let's welcome back our friend, NBC News sports reporter Rohan Nadkarni for a preview of the series. Rohan, good morning. We've been talking to you, of course, throughout the NBA playoffs this season. Let's just talk first what you're looking forward to seeing most in Game 1 tonight, the biggest question that you're looking to get an answer to on the court.
Yeah, I know this is about to sound really simple, but I'm interested to see how the Spurs guard the New York Knicks. San Antonio's kind of key to success in defeating the defending champion Oklahoma City Thunder was limiting their offense, but they were really helped in that series by some injuries to the Thunder. The Knicks have been completely dominant throughout the playoffs. They've been shooting threes at an incredible rate. I'm really interested to see how the Spurs limit the Knicks' outside shooting and what they do to slow down what's been a red-hot Knicks offense.
So let's dive a little deeper into each team. You were just writing about the fact that this young San Antonio team, obviously we've seen so much talent here, and also the fact that the Spurs have this home court advantage. And a player you might have heard of, Wemby, could all that get in the way of the Knicks even being able to get a game in tonight?
Absolutely. I mean, this Spurs team is ahead of schedule. I wrote about how young they are. Victor Wembanyama was only 22 years old. He'd be the youngest player to lead his team in playoff scoring for a champion since 2016. The Spurs are 4 years roughly younger than the average NBA champion over the last 10 or 11 years. This is a really young team. Wembanyama is unlike anything we've seen before, frankly. He's 7'4". He can shoot, pass, dribble. He was already one of the best defensive players in the NBA, unanimous Defensive Player of the Year this year. This is a team that's ahead of schedule and absolutely has a chance to win this series.
All right, now Knicks. It's been 53 years since they won a championship. Fans have been waiting almost 3 decades for their team just to even make it back into the finals. As a New Yorker, I can confirm it is just electric here. It is so much fun. What would be the keys to victory for them?
The Knicks are going to have to find ways to score when Wembanyama's on the floor. I mean, he's just so tall. He basically stops every team from even getting near the hoop. I think this is going to be a huge series for Jalen Brunson. Hitting pull-up threes is going to be a huge series for guys like Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby. They're going to be out on the wing. They're going to get open looks from the perimeter. They have to hit those shots. They have to keep pulling Wemby away from the hoop. I think the more often the Knicks do that, the better position they're going to be in.
All right, I am going to put you on the spot here, Rohan, and you've got plenty of time, by the way, to make your case here. Who do you see being crowned the newest NBA champions when it's all said and done?
You know, Savannah, I've gone back and forth on this pick numerous times. If you'd asked me before the Western Conference Finals, I said whoever wins that series would win the NBA Finals. I think I'm actually going to go with the Knicks here. Ooh. I think the Knicks are going to win this in 6 in Madison Square Garden. I think there's two things. At one point, I just wonder if the Spurs' inexperience is going to catch up with them. The Knicks have been very clear since last year. This was a championship or bust season for them. These are guys who are hardened by brutal playoff defeats. Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby. They've all lost big playoff games before. Usually that's helpful, actually, that kind of experience. The fact that they've been so dominant, so well connected offensively, at some point you'd think that the kind of older, more seasoned team is going to have an advantage against San Antonio.
All right. Well, I like the idea of Knicks in 6 and it coming home right here to Madison Square Garden. Rohan Nankardi, thank you so much. Great to see you. I know so many people are so excited for tonight. We appreciate your time this morning.
Of course.
And that is going to do it for us for this hour of Morning News Now. But don't go anywhere. The news continues right now. Good morning. Thanks so much for starting your Wednesday with us. I'm Savannah Sellers. Joe is off today. Right now on Morning News Now, making their voices heard this morning, results are coming in from some consequential primary day elections. In California, the crowded primary field to replace Gavin Newsom as governor remains too close to call this morning. And in a closely watched race in Los Angeles, incumbent Mayor Karen Bass advances to the general election, while former reality TV star Spencer Pratt is also looking to move ahead to November. We'll have the latest results and how they could impact November's midterms in just a moment. Also this morning, longtime 60 Minutes correspondent Scott Pelley is out of a job this morning after being fired by CBS News. Pelley's angry response to a letter obtained by NBC News where he was accused of, quote, hijacking a staff meeting. It all comes after several staffers at 60 Minutes were let go. So what's next for a TV institution? We will bring you the latest. Also this morning, tip-off time. The wait is nearly over for basketball fans everywhere as the NBA Finals get underway tonight. The New York Knicks are taking on the San Antonio Spurs in Game 1 as both teams look to win their first NBA title in years. We will bring you that preview in a few minutes. And scary success from backrooms to obsession. Horror movies are attracting bigger audiences and impressing critics. We will take a look at how a genre that was once dismissed is now having its gruesome revenge. Thank you again for being here. We're happy you're with us. We are going to begin this hour with the latest results from primary races around the country. In California, voters are deciding who will replace Governor Gavin Newsom in a November runoff, as well as who will face off to be the next mayor of Los Angeles. And in deep red Iowa, Democrats are hoping they can pick up a critical Senate seat this November with their primary candidate. NBC News Chief Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles joins us now with more on this. Ryan, good morning.
Hey there. While many votes are still being counted after a long and muddled campaign for governor, we finally have some clarity. In November, it will be Democrat Javier Becerra against Republican Steve Hilton. And in Los Angeles, a similar dynamic where it appears incumbent Mayor Karen Bass will be facing reality star Spencer Pratt. This morning, primary races across the country setting the stage for major battles this fall, including key elections in California, where reality show star Spencer Pratt is likely to make his way into a runoff against incumbent Mayor Karen Bass.
You stood with me for the first half. Will you stand with me all the way?
Pratt is a registered Republican running without party affiliation, whose anti-establishment campaign has galvanized a core of the city's fed-up voters.
I'm an Angelino who said enough is enough, and I had to step up. I didn't know I'd be here tonight, but it's obviously God's plan.
With all eyes on the state's governor's race, too.
November, here we come.
Former State Attorney General Javier Becerra riding a late surge of support over fellow Democrats to finish in the top 2. If elected, he'd become the first Latino governor since 1875.
Este es tu estado.
His likely opponent will be Republican Steve Hilton, a British-born former Fox personality endorsed by President Trump.
Change is coming.
With Republicans fighting to maintain their razor-thin House majority in the midterm elections, one of the most competitive contests is brewing in a New Jersey battleground district. Democrats choosing former Navy helicopter pilot Rebecca Bennett to take on Republican incumbent Tom Kean. Kean has not been seen publicly in 3 months, missing more than 100 House votes as he handles what his office calls a personal medical issue. Kean breaking his silence Tuesday, saying in a statement that he will transition from virtual work to in-person work within a matter of weeks. The battle for Senate also taking shape. In deep red Iowa, Democrats are aiming to flip the Senate seat held by retiring GOP incumbent Joni Ernst. State lawmaker Josh Turek winning the Democratic primary overnight, casting himself as the change candidate.
We need a fighter for the people.
He'll face off against the Republican nominee, Congresswoman Ashley Hinson, endorsed by President Trump.
Thank you, President Donald J. Trump.
Pratt's showing last night was remarkable, especially for someone with no political experience. But his supporters need to keep in mind that 75% of Los Angeles voters are Democrats. Now that there's only 2 people in the race, it's likely that Democratic support will consolidate behind the incumbent Karen Bass. But there's no doubt that he's tapped into an angst in that city and made this race much more competitive in the fall. Back to you.
All right, Brian, thank you so much for analysis on these results. Let's bring in Carrie Dan. She's the managing editor of the Cook Political Report and our former colleague here as well. Carrie, good morning. It is always wonderful to see you. Let's start with Iowa. What do you think Turek's victory in the Democratic primary tells us about Democrats' chances of flipping that Senate seat this November?
Well, look, Savannah, let's start with the fact that this is a state that Donald Trump won by 13 points in 2024. So this is not, overall a toss-up environment for Democrats. But Turek's victory prompted us last night to move this from likely Republican into lean Republican in political report rankings. That means that we believe that Republicans still have an edge here, but that it is definitely going to be competitive. And I think that's because Turek has not only a really compelling biography, he's a Paralympian, he's confined to a wheelchair, but more importantly, he has a proven track record of winning in a state house district that Donald Trump has won 3 times. So Democrats hope that he has some crossover appeal. They hope that he can sort of inspire disaffected Republicans and independents in the state. So we still have a thumb on the scale for Republicans in this very ruby red state. But it's also a state where there's been some movement away from the president on tariffs, on agriculture, on cost of living, particularly acute in this very agricultural state. There is some disapproval of Trump, I think, among the base that we saw also in the results of the governor's race there. So this is going to be a competitive race, and it's something that Democrats absolutely want as an insurance policy because, as we've said before, Savannah, they need to play a perfect game to win control of the Senate. It is still a long shot, and having a potential chance in Iowa is giving them some relief this morning.
Yeah, and certainly notable. Carrie, let's now talk California. A couple things here. I want to start on governor. Going into the primary, the race for governor really had no clear front runners. The race definitely still too early to call, but what do you think about how it's shaping up this morning?
Well, this has been such a circuitous journey. Javier Becerra was polling in single digits just a matter of months ago, but Democratic voters seem to coalesce around him as their standard bearer. There were fears that Democrats would be completely locked out of this race with 2 Republicans actually taking the top 2 spots. That is not happening. Becerra looks like he's going to advance. Steve Hilton looks like he may advance, but because this is too early to call, Savannah, there's also a chance that Tom Steyer, with the remaining portion of the vote, could secure that second runoff spot. That would be catastrophic for Republicans who, even though this is a deep blue state, rather, I don't think there's going to be a Republican governor of California, but Republicans still want a standard bearer at the top of the ticket, and they're really hoping that person is Steve Hilton, who can help them in some down the ballot races and congressional races that are really important for Republicans if they want to keep control of the House.
One of the buzziest races on any ballot across the country yesterday, having to do with a certain non-career politician for sure, is this race for mayor of Los Angeles. So current mayor Karen Bass, she had a sizable lead, but not enough to win a majority. She's going to now advance to a runoff in November. That is against either reality TV star Spencer Pratt, who's brought a lot of attention here, or city council member Nithya Raman. Now, Pratt was obviously a total wild card going into this race. The fact he even stepped into it really spurred by the fact that his house burned down in those Pacific Palisades fires. Are you surprised by the numbers that we're seeing coming in here? Make sense of these numbers for our viewers.
Well, I will confess to not being terribly read in on The Hills, the series that Pratt was on before this race. But I think it really shows something that we're actually seeing nationwide, which is that even though there's a lot of momentum for Democrats in the midterms around the country, it is not because Democrats are popular. It's because voters are seeing Democrats as an alternative to the party in the White House. But Karen Bass will be the first LA mayor to go to a runoff since 2005. And I think Pratt has really effectively channeled the anger of voters in the region, both about the wildfires in California and also the homelessness crisis. And he was this very unconventional candidate who approached a lot of voters, said, I don't know all the answers, but I know how angry you are and I know how angry I am. And so I think that it has been a remarkable candidacy. It has shown that somebody can kind of come out of nowhere to become a sort of nationalized figure. He was aided by a lot of fandom, a lot of AI videos that promoted him. But at the same time, at the end of the day, this is a very, as Ryan said, this is a very Democratic stronghold, but it's still an interesting case to see how much he has managed to channel that anger.
It certainly is. It's been interesting to watch. Carrie Dan, always great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks.
Well, there's breaking news out of the Middle East where tensions between Iran and the United States are flaring up again following a new exchange of attacks. Overnight, Kuwait's foreign ministry said one person was killed and dozens were wounded after Iran launched missile and drone attacks. While some were shot down, others hit the country's international airport. Iran says the attack was in response to a U.S. strike on an Iranian oil tanker in the Strait of Hormuz. NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel has the latest for us from Tel Aviv. Hi, Richard. Good morning.
Good morning. As we've been reporting about, there have been several of these exchanges of fire between Iran and the United States over the last several days, putting serious challenges and raising questions about the status of negotiations. But this was the most serious incident, with the U.S. attacking a military position in Iran, Iran firing not just at Kuwait, but also at Bahrain. Some of the Iranian fire, as you mentioned, damaging a terminal at Kuwait's main airport, causing casualties. Kuwait canceling flights.
Kuwait's airport this morning was forced into an emergency shutdown as it was targeted by Iranian drones and missiles, killing one person and causing significant damage to a terminal, according to the foreign ministry. A Kuwaiti official called it an act of criminal Iranian aggression. Thousands of American troops are based in Kuwait. Iran fired 2 ballistic missiles at them yesterday, the U.S. saying its defenses shot down the incoming fire. This morning, Iran also launched missiles and drones at Bahrain, home of the U.S. Fifth Fleet. Bahrain says its air defenses intercepted and destroyed 3 missiles and a number of drones. As a deal between the U.S. and Iran that appeared close just days ago seems to be receding. It seems Iran is trying to break the American naval blockade, closing off its ports, launching attacks at U.S. troops involved and the countries hosting them. U.S. Central Command insists the blockade is holding, releasing a new video of American forces firing into a vessel's engine earlier this week to stop it from docking in Iran. The U.S. also carried out new strikes on military sites on an Iranian island. Secretary of State Rubio was pressed on the administration's repeated claims of progress and victory on Capitol Hill.
You keep telling us how we're winning this war. The president keeps saying,
well, the war's over.
Completely annihilated. The war is not over.
It's not over in the Persian Gulf, with new footage this morning of a disabled Iraqi tanker hit by Iran. And while Rubio said progress in negotiations could come soon.
It could happen today, it could happen tomorrow, it could happen next week.
In the region, the U.S.-Iranian ceasefire is increasingly in name only.
President Trump said in a recent interview that he doesn't care how long it takes for negotiations to be concluded with Iran, and that he's been finding the talks somewhat boring. In a new podcast out today, when pressed about his changing positions about the Middle East and the talks, he said that it's good because Iran is confused. Savannah?
All right, Richard Engel for us. Thank you so much. Well, President Trump is facing growing backlash from lawmakers on multiple fronts, including his new controversial pick to oversee the nation's spy agencies. And also it comes as the acting attorney general was grilled about that anti-weaponization fund on Capitol Hill. NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez is with us now with the latest. Hey, Gabe, good morning.
Hi, Savannah. Good morning. This latest cabinet shakeup has stunned lawmakers from both parties. The president, in that new interview, just called his pick to replace Tulsi Gabbard as acting director of national intelligence a, quote, very talented guy, but critics say that he has no relevant experience.
This morning, President Trump is facing bipartisan backlash after elevating a fierce loyalist to the country's top intelligence position.
Pulte, he's done a great job, that guy.
Bill Pulte, the head of the Federal Housing Finance Agency, will now also serve as acting director of national intelligence, overseeing the country's spy agencies, including the CIA. Even some Republicans are skeptical.
I see no evidence of any qualifications for that job.
I don't know of any national security experience he has.
Pulte will replace Tulsi Gabbard, who announced she's stepping down to care for her husband as he battles cancer. Pulte has drawn the president's praise while pushing unproven allegations of mortgage fraud against Trump's perceived political enemies, including California Senator Adam Schiff, Federal Reserve Board member Lisa Cook, and New York Attorney General Letitia James, all of whom have denied any wrongdoing. Democrats are furious.
Well, it's absurd. It's an appointment. Mr. Pulte has absolutely no intelligence background. He has no national security background.
The president says Pulte has deep experience managing sensitive matters, including Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac as a top housing official. But so far, the Trump administration is sidestepping more specific questions about his experience.
Bill Pulte is a terrific guy, very careful person.
Meanwhile, a Republican revolt is prompting the Justice Department to scrap that $1.8 billion fund the president wanted to compensate people he said were unfairly prosecuted by the Biden administration.
We are not moving forward with the fund, period.
But Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche says dropping the fund would not impact another part of President Trump's settlement with the IRS, barring tax audits on his family.
You just gave the president and his family a tax immunity to the tune of about $100 million.
Not true.
Still, in that new interview that was recorded yesterday but just published overnight, the president said that he was not dropping his so-called anti-weaponization fund, only that a court had ruled against it. The president adding that he was proud to have pardoned some of the people who stormed the Capitol on January 6th. Savannah.
All right, Gabe, thank you. Well, in financial news, millions of student loan borrowers on the Biden-era SAVE plan may soon have to pick a new repayment plan. Well, SAVE was launched to make student loans more affordable, but it did face pushback from several Republican states. The changes here are set to come into effect on July 1st. We have Investopedia's editor-in-chief, the chief business editor of People Inc., our friend Caleb Silver. Caleb, good morning. Great to have you as always. First, just remind us the details of SAVE.
Yeah, SAVE was the Save for a Valuable Education student loan repayment program put in place by the Biden administration. One of the hallmarks of its education repayment policy, and that is going away as of July 1st, so it's going to be replaced. And this matters for students or families taking on new loans or anybody that was on the SAVE repayment program. It's going to be replaced by a standard repayment plan, or what they call the RAP, the Repayment Assistance Plan. A lot of acronyms in this, but the basics are that you're only going to have a couple of options right now for new student loans, or if you were on the SAVE program, for your existing loans to pay them back.
If you boil this down, does this mean that borrowers are paying more ultimately?
Potentially, and it depends which program you choose. And if you don't choose a program, you will be put into a program either based on your income or based on your family size here. So with one of these programs, the Repayment Assistance Plan, the payments are based on a percentage of the adjusted gross income. It's kind of tiered, fixed payments. You got to pay at least $10 a month for that. So minimum payments there, but potentially lower monthly payments. Now, the other payment, the standard repayment plan, that could mean a longer term for payments, so it could take you longer to pay off your student loans, more interest accumulating on those loans.
Any other options people should know about?
Well, you could take private loans, but often those have higher interest rates, and you can take consolidated loans, and there's other different acronyms of different loan types you can take. But what the federal aid, student aid program is trying to do is narrow the choices down and incentivize people to pay off their loans quicker. It's harder to get out of a loan here. There's 30 years, I think, at least for one of these loans. You have to pay at least 30 years worth of the loans or 120 payments. So you're going to end up having to pay something, at least a minimum, but some of these options are better based on your income.
How do you think borrowers should decide what's right for them?
Well, they should decide based on their income and based on their family size. So for the RAP program, the payment based on a percentage of your adjusted gross income, if your adjusted gross income changes or it's kind of fixed and you know what it's going to be over time, that might be a better option because then you could put a number on your monthly payment and know what that's going to be and it won't change. The other programs, the standard repayment program, that could be fixed. That could take a much longer time to pay out. You have to think about how much money you have to pay off that loan now and how much time you're going to service that loan.
So if you're just hearing about this, it's June 3rd right now. July 1st, changes are coming. What advice do you have for people that just have about 4 weeks to deal with this?
Yeah, if you're in the SAFE program, you're going to be put into another program unless you choose one of these two options. So you have to look at these two options, do the calculation. The Federal Student Aid website has a pretty good calculator there where you can choose which one works best for you and then decide how you're going to do it. But you cannot stay in the SAFE program. You have to move out. And if you're going to take new loans now for this new year, you're going to be put into one of these programs. You don't have any other options.
Now, Caleb, eagle-eyed viewers may notice that you are not normally in a tie, and today you are, and they may also notice the colors of that tie. Anything you want to tell us?
It's business time here in New York City. Our New York Knicks are in the final, so we're all about our business here. We got to take care of it. I thought I would suit up for the occasion.
We should have you join our little look-ahead segment later on.
Bring it on.
Maybe it'd be too biased, though we're obviously excited here in New York. Isn't there an energy right now? It's just so fun.
It's so good. New York City is so much better when the Knicks are great.
It's so awesome. All right, Caleb, thank you as always. Well, veteran 60 Minutes correspondent Scott Pelley has been fired from CBS News. In a formal letter to Pelley obtained by NBC News, the show's new executive producer said he was fired for cause effective immediately. It comes after the two clashed in a tense meeting on Monday. NBC News correspondent Erin McLaughlin is following these developments for us. Erin, good morning.
Savannah, good morning. The strongly worded termination letter was very much return fire from Pelley's new boss, Nick Bilton, after Pelley's criticism of him in a staff meeting went public. Bilton accusing Pelley of hijacking the meeting only to disparage him before ultimately letting the veteran anchor go. And for Pelley's part, the longtime anchor telling NBC News the show lost its DNA when some of the staff was fired without cause last week, saying they were silenced for standing up for their audience.
I'm Scott Pelley. Those stories tonight on 60 Minutes.
Breaking overnight, Scott Pelley fired from CBS News, just one day after a heated clash with 60 Minutes leadership. As one of America's landmark newscasts faces a very public crisis. 2 days ago, Pelley had clashed with the show's controversial new leader, technology journalist and documentary maker Nick Bilton. In a staff meeting, Pelley attacked Bilton's qualifications and blasted the news network's leadership, according to a source in the room and an audio recording obtained by NBC News. Now Bilton writing to Pelley in a scathing termination letter obtained by NBC News. Quote, "You hijacked my first meeting with staff to disparage me," saying it, quote, "demonstrated that you have no interest in contributing to the future success of the show." In a separate note to staffers, Bilton saying he made repeated attempts to speak with Pelley to no avail.
It felt like Scott Pelley was tempting fate here. He knew that he was becoming a sort of leader of a resistance.
Pelley, who spent nearly 4 decades at the network, responded with a blistering statement of his own overnight. Writing, "New management has instructed me to inject falsehoods and bias into a politically sensitive story. To date, in every case, I have managed to ignore these instructions or refuse them." Adding, "Incompetence and unprofessionalism in the new management have wreaked havoc." Pelley has been critical of CBS News chief Barry Weiss, who recently fired the show's executive producer, along with 2 60 Minutes correspondents, Sharon Alfonsi and Cecilia Vega. In that fiery meeting on Monday, Pelley accused Weiss of, quote, "murdering 60 Minutes. Turmoil has been brewing since David Ellison took over CBS News' parent company, Paramount, last year. Ellison looking to expand his empire with a major merger, currently awaiting regulatory approval from the Trump administration. Pelley now saying the new owner is making changes, quote, apparently to curry a moment of favor with the Trump administration. While this morning, the president weighed in on Pelley.
Look, Scott Pelley's a stiff, and he's afraid, and he's part of this, gang of crooked, stupid people that don't care about our country.
While at CBS, questions swirl about the future of the beloved show. And we reached out to CBS on Pelley's allegations that management told him to insert bias into his work. We have not heard back. His fellow correspondent Cecilia Vega made similar statements after her firing from 60 Minutes last week. To that, the network said in a statement at the time that her claims are, quote, not based in reality. And guys, it's worth pointing out that despite Nick Bilton referring broadcast news as a melting ice cube, 60 Minutes ratings are actually up 9% over the last year. That according to Nielsen, with the show averaging more than 9 million viewers a week. Savannah.
All right, Aaron, thank you so much. Well, for more on this, I'm joined now by Brian Steinberg. He's the senior TV editor at Variety. Brian, good morning. Thank you, as always, for joining us on these big, consequential media stories. So first, I just want your reaction, because I think, obviously, when you heard some of the comments in the meeting, it was definitely a combative meeting, a combative tone, something that a boss may generally take offense to. It's also a storied institution of which Scott Pelley has been an important member for decades now. So just, were you surprised that this is the turn this ultimately took, that Pelley was fired?
I am surprised in that he is such a part of that program and such a symbol of the show, along with Leslie Stahl and Bill Whitaker at this point. 60 Minutes has always been identified by having a core team of correspondents who work for this show and deliver these great stories. So they are, quickly running out of correspondents.
What has the reaction been like, Brian, across the media industry?
People are stunned. I mean, this is a story show that doesn't seem to be not to be operating badly. Ratings are up as you mentioned, and the show is one of the jewels of TV, one of the longest running programs on television, and arguably one of the most watched news show in the country. Its stories generate pushback, change policies, help shape understanding. The show is working rather than not working. So I think the question is, why is all this maneuvering being done?
Brian, what do you make of Nick Bilton, this new executive producer, the person who wrote the letter that ultimately terminated Scott Pelley's contract? In response to that letter, we had a statement, the New York Times got a statement from Scott Pelley saying that the letter, what he said, betrays a complete misunderstanding of what we work for and what we live for at 60 Minutes. But we've all seen that letter in full from him, essentially saying, I invited you to dinner, you didn't come. And then you have this performative, combative scene in our meeting. What do you make of the specific comments from the new executive producer, Nick Bilton, in that letter?
This is a person, look, clearly at odds. I would argue the staff needs to learn to accept him or walk away, and vice versa. I mean, he has a staff he is going to rely upon to get these stories out by September. So, it is, the show has been like, has had arms cut off. Executive producer, executive editor, 2 top correspondents. Any manager walking into that ought to be sensitive to that. At the same time, the correspondents and staff need to understand that they don't run the network. Somebody else does. There has to be some kind of common ground or common path, or if not, the show is going to be in a lot of trouble.
The show only has 3 correspondents currently left on its roster. We know Anderson Cooper left recently, Cecilia Vega, Sharon Alfonsi, now Scott Pelley being let go. I mean, as somebody who works in a news organization, Brian, when you're getting a show like this on the air, to only have 3 people, especially for people who don't know the inner workings of 60 Minutes, each of those pieces takes a very long time to pitch, to report out, to go and shoot, to come back and write, to edit. It's not just like, every week all 3 people are going to have a new story ready to go. At least that's not how it's been historically. What do you think about just like how this impacts the upcoming season, how they get on the air?
It's an interesting question because Bilton has already indicated he wants to see more content from 60 Minutes, beyond Sunday evening. Why not have it, in other digital and other places? So, is the staff at capacity to do this kind of stuff, or do they? There's one thought that perhaps they're trying to cut costs and use other CBS News staffers. There is talk of Norah O'Donnell coming on board and doing some more things. We've seen Major Garrett from the Washington Bureau being assigned stories recently. Could this be a big move under the guise of simply cutting costs and trying to make the place cheaper to run?
Brian, we saw, of course, the criticism from Scott Pelley of the new executive producer of this particular show, Nick Bilton. In addition to that, he has criticized, as have Cecilia Vega, as have Sharon Alfonsi, pretty much everybody essentially on their way out the door, these criticisms of the leadership even above Nick Bilton. Barry Weiss, who's taken over as the editorial chief of CBS News. With so much criticism from people with a real standing within the network, people who have respect, producers in the the newsroom look up to someone like a Scott Pelley, like a Cecilia Vega. Where do you think that leaves the newsroom now? Where do you think that leaves their news operations? What are you hearing from sources, people who still work there?
This is a place that has become dysfunctional. My understanding is Barry Weiss and her team is not part of the CBS News team. They both sides view each other with disdain and skepticism. They have a hard time working together. There's not a lot of communication from Barry Weiss and her team to the rank and file about what needs to be done. We did an interview with her a few weeks back about using creators and new voices on CBS News properties. I was told after it came out, people hadn't heard that from her internally. So there was a lot of skepticism and distrust among the ranks at CBS News. It is not a system that allows people to do their best work or great work at all.
Brian Steinberg, as always, we love having you to talk through some of these stories. Thanks for your time. Now let's get a check on your morning news now. Weather later today, we've got a slight risk of severe storms in the Midwest. And we have meteorologist Rafael Miranda joining us with the latest forecast this morning. Raf, hey there.
Hey, good morning, Savannah. Yeah, we're dealing with a multi-day severe weather threat right now. Some very heavy rain across Texas, some flooding there this morning, and lots of lightning in the Dakotas. We've seen the skies lighting up through the overnight. Lots of thunder there as well. These storms gradually marching towards the east. Now, it's a cold front that's causing the problem, slowly marching east over the next day or so. This is our severe weather risk later today. Large hail a possibility, winds gusting up to 60 miles per hour. Tornadoes, thankfully, not likely today, but that changes over the next few days as the severe threat shifts east day by day. A few supercells are likely to develop tomorrow, and that could cause the hail and the wind, but also 1 or 2 tornadoes. This is our risk area for tomorrow. Again, in the Dakotas and Nebraska, the greatest chance for seeing damaging storms. As we head ahead to Friday now, we watch everything march towards the east to the Midwest and the Great Lakes. More showers and storms moving in that direction. That could cause some travel issues and also a few more tornadoes, a possibility in places like Mason City and Omaha. That's your day on Friday. Now, flooding also a concern. You could see we're watching West Texas. We've seen some very heavy rain this morning. That will continue as we head throughout the day today. And then we are finally seeing some milder weather up north. It's been quite chilly at times here in the Northeast. Today, temperatures in the 80s. And again, tomorrow, temperatures in the 80s, even into Boston. Some heavy rain today for Florida, watching out for the potential for localized flooding there. Out west, hot and dry, and it's sunny. And this is the beginning of a big warming trend here in the Northeast. Temperatures are back to the 80s today in New York City. Low humidity, really just delightful. And then we see temperatures climbing as we head into the weekend. We're talking about 80s and 90s for several days in a row. This is still early June. We shouldn't be quite this warm, but we are going to see that type of heat taking over. The Midwest looking good today. Ahead of those storms tomorrow, temperatures in the 80s in Chicago, keeping it dry, and down towards the Gulf also looking quiet. Temperatures continue to soar into the 100s in places like Phoenix and Las Vegas. Beautiful along the California coastline there. But watching those storms very closely later today, Savannah, especially in the Dakotas.
All right, Raf, thank you so much.
You got it.
Some good news in that forecast. That's great. Much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, we will meet 2 very special students who are being honored for the work they do combating the youth mental health crisis. Up first, though, the start of the World Cup is just over a week away. We're going to take a look at the unprecedented security operation to keep fans and players safe. Stay with us. We're back now with an unprecedented amount of pressure on police all over the U.S. with the World Cup just days away. NBC News correspondent Sam Brock has more on how agencies are preparing for dozens of matches and hundreds of thousands of fans.
The World Cup buzz that's been brewing for months is about to reach soccer nirvana. Rosters revealed and pitches primed for 11 host cities, from MetLife Stadium in New Jersey to the Link in Philadelphia and Levi Stadium in Northern California. Arguably the most complex sports security operation in modern history. 78 games played in United States venues in 39 days, all trying to avoid chaos like what we saw in Miami just 2 years ago at the Copa America final, where fans without tickets tried storming the stadium. The final this year in New Jersey, where authorities say that won't happen.
How do you even begin to describe the scope of this undertaking from a security footprint?
Completely unprecedented, but it's something that we've been planning planning for now for over 3 years. So it takes that planning process and that amount of time to, again, collate all of our partners.
400 partners, according to Incident Commander David Sorotowicz with the New Jersey State Police, who walks us through this command center, connecting everyone from the FBI and DHS to local police and fire. Real-time maps on screen, tracking far more than just the 80,000 fans at MetLife.
This is team base camps. This is hotels. This is training sites. This is escorts of teams 24/7. This is VIPs and dignitaries in our area. So the scope of this is much larger than just your normal event at MetLife Stadium.
Plus drone surveillance that's a huge piece of the puzzle.
The streaming can be brought up at multiple command centers, so whoever has it is able to watch what's going on real time.
You can actually see our feed from this demo drone, mirrored in the command center and shareable across agencies. There's also a public safety app translating emergency alerts into 30 different languages for fans and plenty of personnel.
So we have over 3,000 members, and currently right now, nobody has a day off for the next 2 months.
But questions have swirled for months about the vastly different market sizes from Foxborough, Massachusetts, and its population of 18,000 outside Boston, needing help from the Patriots owner Robert Kraft to backstop security funding, to Kansas City, the smallest host region, where Mayor Quentin Lucas told our Shaq Brewster the area is more than ready.
This is not just going to be the Kansas City Police Department that's got to handle hundreds of thousands of guests. This will be a lot more like the security apparatus that you see at a presidential inauguration, a party convention in other years, where we get help from major cities around the country.
FEMA says it's earmarked $625 million for security capabilities, including about $60 million each for Kansas City and New York, New Jersey, where Sorotowicz says they understand the stakes.
The viewership projection for the final of the World Cup is 3.2 billion people watching.
Like 30 to 40% of the world is going to be watching.
Yes, exactly.
Hoping there are no distractions so all eyes can stay squarely on the ball. Sam Brock, NBC News.
All right, coming up, the White House Correspondents' Dinner has been rescheduled after the event in April was cut short when a gunman ran through a security checkpoint. When we come back, we'll tell you when and where the event will now be held and what new safety measures will be in place. We are back now with a closer look at what's making news in the world of politics this morning, starting with details on the rescheduled White House Correspondents' Dinner. NBC News senior national politics reporter Jonathan Allen is back with us for this with the details. John, good morning.
Hey, good morning again, Savannah. In the world of politics today, something old, something new, and an engraved invitation for the NFL. But let's start with the old, the 2024 election. Former First Lady Jill Biden's latest memoir is causing a stir. Back then, she told America that her husband was fit as a fiddle as he ran for a second term. Now, in her book, View from the East Wing, the former First Lady tells things differently. She thought her husband might have had a stroke during his debate with Donald Trump that year. She could also see signs of President Biden aging in the White House, she says now. But she, quote, believed in my heart that he was fit to serve. The book's hot on Amazon, number 12 at this hour. But some Democrats aren't buying her story. Quote, hard to believe, one party strategist told NBC News. The Bidens won't get a do-over, but President Trump and the White House correspondents will. They have a new location and date for a reboot of Washington's biggest annual black tie gala, after the original dinner was canceled by a gunman rushing through security. The second take will be held at the Waldorf Astoria in the nation's capital on July 24th. That's the hotel that was the Trump International during his last term. The Correspondents Association promising that there will be, quote, significantly enhanced safety measures. President Trump saying in a Truth Social post that it will be a hot ticket. It's not clear that NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell will feel the same way about the invitation he's getting to testify before Congress. Lawmakers want Goodell to address the NFL's television deals, specifically with the streaming services that air their games. Congressman Jim Jordan, chairman of the Judiciary Committee, asked Goodell to talk to his panel on June 10th as it considers whether to update the 1961 sports broadcasting law to include the streamers. The leak has streaming deals with a long list of outlets, including NBC Peacock. So, Savannah, I'm looking for you to do some play-by-play from the booth next season.
I mean,
but for now, back to you.
That would be something. I'm not sure it would be what you'd want to understand what was happening in the game. All right, John, thank you so much. Well, coming up, America's mental health heroes. When we come back, we're going to meet the two students who are about to be honored for the extraordinary ways they have been helping others in need. You're watching Morning News Now. We are back with an organization working to combat the youth mental health crisis in the U.S. The JED Foundation is a nonprofit that was founded in 2000 to protect the emotional health of our nation's teens and young adults and help create a uniform model for preventing suicide in schools. Every year, the foundation honors one high school student and one college student whose advocacy work plays a pivotal role in reaching 10 million students nationwide. Now, I am lucky enough to be involved with the JED Foundation, and so this year I'll be hosting the JED Foundation Gala for the third year in a row because it's something I love doing so much. And our next guests, you're seeing them right now, they are going to receive these Student Voice of Mental Health Awards. I'm so excited to have them both here in studio with me. We have high school honoree Sarah Shelke and college honoree Kyra Wagner. Good morning to you both. Thank you for being here and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Oh, you are so welcome. I'm so excited to chat with you and get to meet you before we're all together tonight at this gorgeous gala. I just want to hear about the work that both of you do. So, Sarah, I will start with you. In just a minute, I'm going to ask for you to give me some specifics about Mind for Youth, which is this incredible organization that you've created that just totally blows me away. But first, you've spoken at the UN, you've spoken on Capitol Hill, you've worked to get legislation passed, and now you're winning this award. Just tell me what it means to you to be recognized for this work that you've been doing for so long.
Yeah, I mean, it truly feels surreal, and I'm still processing this award, of course. But, I think beyond just the recognition, the award is really about recognizing the work that all young people do in this field of mental health, because it is such an important challenge that we're seeing recently in our community. And I hope to really inspire other young people that you do not have to be a certain age to get involved in this type of work, but really young people have a voice that matters and can make a difference.
Oh, such a powerful message. So you started Mind for Youth as a high school student, and you're ultimately servicing students in 72 countries who might not have access to adequate mental health care. Tell me what it is that you do, what kind of services you provide, and also how you did it. I mean, that sounds hard.
Yeah, I started the organization when I was 14 years old in high school. And so really the work we do involves teaching youth about what mental health exactly is. Especially in a lot of these other countries around the world, there is a lack of mental health education that we're seeing in schools, particularly. So we created an online mental health curriculum to teach students about what mental health is and how they can also support their peers. And then, the second part of our organization also really focuses on providing self-care products for teens, especially those from homeless shelters who don't have access to basic necessities.
Just incredible.
Yeah.
Kyra, let's talk about the work that you do. You do so much in this space as well, including serving as a mentor with the Destined for Greatness Outreach Youth Center. What has your work there meant to you and shown you?
Yeah, absolutely. So at Spelman College, our motto is a choice to change the world. And I chose the mental health field as my choice to change the world. So when I met the president of DFG, it was just an opportunity to connect with youth in my community in Atlanta, and I couldn't say no to it. So being a mentor there, really just getting into the Atlanta community and being able to connect with younger people who may not have positive role models, and serving as a place for them to come and talk to, whatever that is, whether it's skating together or doing community service together in Atlanta. It's just been amazing and absolutely has inspired me to keep doing the work in the mental health field.
Kyra, you've written, recovery is communal, not individual. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, I think that as a people, we can't get through anything alone. And I really seen that just in my experience in college, making sure I'm always connecting with my family, my friends. But I really seen it studying abroad. Like when I went to Rwanda and studying like the genocide there and seeing how them as a country connected, I really wanted to bring that back to America. Like together we're better, especially when it comes to the mental health that we're seeing in our country.
If you could both just sum up something that you may want somebody who's listening right now who is struggling to know, just a sentence or two, advice to make them feel less alone, what would you say?
Yeah, I would say remember that you're not alone, especially in your struggles. I know, especially personally, coming from a background in South Asian culture, it was easy to feel like there was a cultural barrier to accessing help, or it might have been shameful to seek help and talk to others about my mental health. But I'd really encourage other young people or other people out there facing mental health struggles to remember that you are not alone in your efforts, and you can always talk to a trusted adult or even a friend if you need help.
Yeah, to piggyback off Sarah, like being a Black woman, we're always told to be strong. Like, don't speak up about what you're going through, to hold it together for yourself and everyone. I just don't do that. Like, make sure you're relying on your community and acknowledging what you're feeling and ask for help.
Sarah and Kyra, thank you both so much for being here. And again, tonight they're going to be honored with the Student Voice of Mental Health Award at JED's annual gala. Thank you. I'm so excited for you both. I can't wait to see y'all later. And if you or anyone you know is struggling, look at your screen right now. Please call the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It is just 988. Finally, this hour, there's a scare in the air. We are months from Halloween, but horror is having a moment with more movies and shows popping up all year round, and audiences are just eating it up. Last year, horror films accounted for 20% of all movie ticket sales, up from 11% in 2024 and just 4% in 2015. And the genre is evolving, expanding beyond classic jump scares into these new hybrids like the hit Apple series Widow's Bay, which blends comedy and horror. We recently sat down with the writer and cast to talk about the trend.
Comedy horror is a description that kind of is stamped early on because I think people want to know what they're going into. I just hope that people come away going, it was far more and far more complex than I anticipated.
I do think one of the themes in this show is the dangers of not knowing one's history.
We play the truth and the reality, and whether that comes out as comedy or drama or horror is what happens.
For more, let's bring in Professor Adam Lowenstein, Director of the Horror Studies Center at the University of Pittsburgh. Professor, thanks so much for being here. Let's start with the top two films this past weekend, because a lot of our viewers may have seen them or be thinking about going out and seeing them. Backrooms and Obsession. They are these low-budget horror films. They actually both happen to be made by Gen Z filmmakers. What do you think is driving the appeal of these movies right now?
Well, I think these movies know how to connect with Gen Z viewers because horror has always been a genre that creates a very intimate bond between the creators and the audience. The creators are often fans. The audience often wants to make films and connect very strongly with the filmmakers. So it's natural that people who are successful on YouTube see horror as a place to jump into in terms of a new media realm, because horror always has a way to connect powerfully with its audience.
Both Backrooms and Obsession, they started as these YouTube shorts. Now they're on the big screen. What do you think that says just about the industry, like where the box office could be headed, who it is that's getting the power to make movies?
Well, horror is always adaptive. We've always had horror. We always will have horror. There are interesting moments where horror becomes more of a trend, more of a phenomenon, but horror never goes away. And I think that it's natural that that young, innovative filmmakers would see horror as a place to both learn the trade and to expand their horizons. You know, YouTube in many ways is new media. Horror movies are old media, but I think they're both still appealing to young audiences today, which is a really heartening thing for a film industry that's looking for where the next audience might come from.
It also is this genre where it seems like such big themes can really fold in and do so well, do so that makes sense for the plot and hook audiences, but still essentially be a commentary on politics, on culture, on real life events. Is that right?
That's right. My job as director of the Horror Studies Center at the University of Pittsburgh is to convince the naysayers that horror matters. And I really think it does. Horror gives us a way to understand ourselves and our culture and our society and our history in ways where we don't shy away from the darker, more disturbing qualities that we have to reckon with in order to be fully human.
So, Professor, I'm assuming that this surge in popularity doesn't surprise you.
It doesn't surprise me, but it pleases me, and it's good for business, and it's good for the general conversation about what can horror entail, what can we learn from horror, and what kinds of audiences are attracted to horror.
It's also interesting because it could be a real disruptor for business in Hollywood when you look at the fact that these low-budget films are taken in more in a weekend than something like Star Wars with a $100 million plus budget. Certainly kind of makes you question what's necessary and how you can really get that return, I imagine, for Hollywood executives. Professor, before we let you go, we, of course, want to know, what's your favorite horror or scary movie?
Well, I have to say that I have a special place in my heart for George Romero's original Night of the Living Dead from 1968, which is a film with such massive influence that we are still living in its world today. And it really put Pittsburgh on the map as a place where you can make films that influence the world. So it's a very special film. It's a very meaningful film. And it's a film we can all still very much learn from.
There you go, an endorsement. So you should watch it to learn anyway, even if you're scared of things. Professor Adam Lowenstein, thank you so much. Appreciate your time and interesting conversation.
Thank you for having me.
And that is going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now. But do not go anywhere because the news continues right here, right now.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.